All right, good morning and welcome. We'll start off comfortably lying down. Straightening out the legs, taking up room on the mat and space beside you, letting your arms open out, palms facing up if that feels comfortable. If not, modify as needed. When you feel settled and ready, closing the eyes. Allowing your body to a little bit heavier as you get any of those wriggles and movements out of the way. Feeling your breath as it travels in and out of your body. Feel the expansion of your chest, the rise and fall of the rib cage. Let's take this time to scan our body from head to toe. Starting with temperature in the room and the space around you. Let's see if you can feel that temperature on your skin. Noticing if there's a slight breeze or if the air feels still around you. Taking in information from our skin, which is our largest organ. Bring awareness to the breath as it travels inside the body. Allowing the breath to go deeper down into the belly. And feel the air traveling through the entire body. Letting go of any tightness, any tension that you might be feeling. So you can release with every exhale. Just let your awareness go deeper down into the pelvis. In your mind's eye, see if you can visualize the pelvis. Feeling your legs, your thigh bones, as they insert into the lower part of the pelvis. Visualizing your spine, your lower back, as it connects with the top of the pelvis. And see if you can send your breath into the hip sockets, into the floor of the pelvis. So that as you breathe in, you feel space entering into those parts of the body. And as you breathe out, you feel yourself relaxing and settling into that space. I invite you to stay connected with your breath. Stay connected with your body. Noticing all the subtle changes that happen as we move through the class. And then later as you move through the day, just noticing how the breath, the awareness of your own body changes. Just looking to maintain this connection with yourself as much as you can for the next hour and beyond that. You start to move the fingers, the toes, just slowly waking up the body through the ankles and wrists. Reaching the arms up overhead as you slide the feet together, pointing the toes, pointing the fingers in opposite directions, maybe bringing the hands together, interlace the fingers, reach in opposite directions as you breathe in, lengthen through the midsection, through the whole body. Exhaling with a sigh or a sound as you release. Inhaling, stretching, lengthening. And exhale, releasing. From here, we're going to bend and lift both legs, bringing the knees over the hips, lifting the arms up. Knees are bent at 90 degrees, shins are parallel to the ground, knees over hips, hands reaching up to the ceiling, wrists, elbows, and shoulders stacked. From here, we're going to move alternate hand, alternate leg, but I really want you to bring awareness to your low back, to the back of your sacrum, and see if you can keep that part of your body pressed down onto the mat. So not letting your lower back lift, really keeping your pelvis as steady and level as you can throughout this movement. So starting with your left leg, right arm, straightening out the left leg, reaching the right arm behind you. Then bring it back as you exhale. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, bring it together. And then moving at your own pace, alternating arm, alternating leg at the same time. And breathing in as you extend, and breathing out as you contract and bring everything together again. And maintaining awareness of your lower back. Noticing what the hip flexors are doing here. Sometimes the hip flexors are a little tight. They can click as you extend and bring the leg back. Just notice what the hip flexors are doing. We started with the left leg. The next time you come back with your right leg, we'll pause. And once you're here, let the arms come to rest beside the body with your palms on the mat, and straighten up the legs towards the ceiling. And as you straighten up your legs, push up through the heels, flex back through the toes, But again, keeping your tailbone, your lower back firmly pressed down onto the mat. We want to try and get a stretch through the back of the legs here. So really focusing on flexing those ankle and toes back down towards the face and knee, but not letting your lower back or tailbone lift off as you do that. Stay supported through the back of the head and shoulders, the arms resting on the mat. As you bend the knees, bringing the feet back down onto the mat, touching the heels with your fingers, setting up into bridge alignment as you push down through the hands and the feet, lifting your seat up, open into the chest, driving your pelvis forward and up, maybe rolling your shoulders underneath as an option, interlacing the fingers together, and pushing down to the fists as you tuck one pinky in. And feel the back of the head and shoulders press down into the mat. Feel that length through the back of your neck, extending all the way through the tip of the tailbone. Lifting the hips up higher as you push down evenly through both feet. Keeping the knees stacking over the ankles, keeping the hips lifted, and your chest opening up towards the chin. And breathing here, 3, 2, and 1. Releasing the arms if they're together, and releasing your spine, your seat down onto the mat. Once you're here, lift the knees into your chest, wrap the arms around the shins, tuck into a tight ball. And then resting your head and shoulders back onto the mat, opening the arms out into a wide T. From here, we're going to lower the knees down to the right side. Maybe continuing to look up if you like, or towards your outstretched left hand. You can take your right hand, place it on top of the left thigh, and add a little bit of gentle pressure to help deepen the twist. Keeping both of your shoulders resting on the mat while you feel the left sit bone coming to stack over the right. And as you come into this twist, notice where you're feeling the stretch. Try and send your breath into those parts of the body, helping to release the muscles. Breathing deep into the stretch, into the belly, maybe even down into the hips. On an inhale, we're going to lift the knees back up to center. And then with the exhale, lower the knees over to the other side. Continue to look up or look to the side, finding your drishti. Shoulders are supported. Look to stack the knees on top of each other, as well as your sit bones. As you come into your supine spinal twist, try and keep your spine long anytime you're twisting. Removing any compression, especially around the lower back, but even up into your cervical spine, up by the neck. You want to try and keep the back of the head and shoulders supported, and removing any scrunching or shortening that you might feel. Try to stay as long through the spine as you can. Stay with that nice, easy breath. On an inhale, we're going to pull the knees back up to center. And let's bring the hands onto the kneecaps. We're going to come back into the same position with the legs that we were in earlier, bent at 90, knees over hips, but this time your hands are pressed against your kneecaps on the top of the thighs. We're going to come into a counter resistance pose here. So what I want you to try and do is pull your knees in towards your body, but you're going to resist with your hands and push away. So there's pulling with your legs and pushing with the hands. So using that counter resistance to really strengthen into the midsection, but focusing on keeping the lower back pressed down into the mat the whole time. So not letting your body really move too much here. You're going to keep in this position, but the strength from within is going to make this pose feel dynamic and challenging. So let's go ahead and begin. Start to pull the knees and try to really press the knees right into the chest as you resist with the hands, pushing away and paying close attention to the low back here, not letting that low back lift off at all. After a few moments of doing this, you might start to feel a little bit of shaking going on. That's okay. That's what we want. We want the core muscles to start to get a little fatigued as you engage them. The thing with our postural muscles, our core muscles, is that they respond more to these types of slow movements, these isometric holds where there's not a lot of dynamic movement, but you're holding those muscles and engaging them for a longer period of time. And that's where those deeper postural muscles really start to activate. So you want to try and stay in this position for a little while longer. If you want to amp up a little bit, you can. You can really try to pull the knees right into the chest and resist with the hands as you push away. Or you can start to ease up if it's starting to feel a little too intense. Listen to your body here. Keep breathing. Keep your lower back pressed down into the mat. And we'll hold for another 3, 2, and 1. Release. Let's hug the knees into the chest. Wrap the arms around the shins. Tuck into a tight ball. And then releasing the head and shoulders, your feet onto the mat, back into your bridge position. Fingers touching your heels. Push into the hands and the feet. And lift the seat off the mat. As you open up into the hips and chest, again, feel free to roll the shoulders underneath, interlacing the fingers together and pushing down through the fists. If you want to challenge yourself a little further, you can pick up one foot off the mat and straighten up that leg towards the ceiling, noticing your pelvis, keeping it level as much as you can, not letting one side dip down. And then switching legs, picking up the other leg and really rooting down through the grounding leg and extending up through the lifted leg, bringing that point into the toes. One more time for each side if you did lift your leg. Switching sides. And coming back down as you release the fingers, both feet on the ground. Bring the seat onto the mat, lift the knees into the chest, wrap the arms around the shins, and we tuck into a tight ball. From here, we're going to rock back and forth. That feels okay. You can pick up a bit of momentum. And then coming up into seated and then transitioning into tabletop. Feel free to complete that transition however feels best for you. Shoulders coming to stack over your wrists. Bring in the hips over knees, spreading your fingers wide. Palms are flat on the mat. Exhaling all the air out from the body. And then as you inhale, starts your cat and cow stretch, arching into the low back, shoulders pulling down the back, looking forward or up. And then exhaling, tucking your tailbone down towards the mat, rounding into your spine and shoulders as you push the mat away. Inhale, open the chest, shoulders pull away from the ears. And exhale. Continue to move at your own pace, staying connected with your breath. Alternating between spinal flexion and extension. Helping to keep your spine mobile and healthy. Let's come back to find a neutral position. And again, look to engage in through your midsection. Your core muscles are active here. In your tabletop, we're gonna do what we did earlier on our back, but this time we're doing it from tabletop. So alternating leg, alternating arm. We'll start with your right leg, left arm. Let's have the toes tucked under for more stability. So kicking back through that right leg, reaching through your left arm. Inhale as you extend, exhale as you pull it in. Inhale, 5 times total. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And last time, inhale. Exhale. And release, tabletop. And then switching sides. Make any adjustments if you need to. If you want to double up on the mat underneath your grounding knee, you can, to give yourself a little bit more support. And making sure your fingers are spread here, your palms are flat, so you're not puffing up into the wrists and you're not dumping all the weight into the heel of the hand, but rather letting that weight extend out into the finger and thumb pads. Okay, this time we're going to go left leg, right arm on an inhale, extend and reach. Keeping your balance, and then moving with the exhale as you tuck it in, engaging through the midsection, spinal flexion. Inhale. Extension. Again, paying attention to your low back, your midsection here. Trying to keep the pelvis level. Inhale, reach, extend. Exhale, bring it in, flex. One last time. And we come back to tabletop. Really nice. From here, let's lower down onto our forearms, hips stay over the knees, walking your elbows further away from the body as you transition to extended puppy. Resting your forehead, maybe resting your chin on the mat if you prefer. The idea here is to try and open up through the thoracic spine, through your rib cage, open up through the armpits. And really think about driving your arm bones into the shoulder sockets. Feel free to bring your chin on the mat as well. Start to push into your fingers and palms as you lift the chin or forehead up, driving your chest forward, stepping your feet back. We're going to transition into plank. Again, looking to strengthen and stabilize the midsection, the trunk of your body through these types of isometric holds. As you reach back through the heels, reach forward from the head, pressing down through your forearms, staying strong through your legs as you lift the back of the knees to the ceiling and keeping that belly button pulled up into the spine. And noticing here if you're dominant on one side through the arms, is oftentimes we push down through our dominant arm more and try to bring activation through both forearms and stay full into the upper and mid back. So keeping your shoulder blades protracted, keeping them separated. Stay with the breath. Flexing into your thighs. Breathing, not letting your hips sag here, not lifting them higher to make this pose slightly easier, but maintaining awareness of your body's alignment. Hanging out here for another 3, 2, and 1. Easing your knees and thighs onto the mat, pointing into the toes, separate the hands. Transition to Sphinx pose, push down through the hips, lift the chest as you draw the shoulders down the back, breathing here. Breathing deep into the belly. Pushing down through the hips, pushing down through the feet to help lift the chest even higher. And we'll add a little bit of core strengthening here as well. As you exhale, start to tuck your chin in towards your chest, and then lifting your belly, lifting the top of the thighs off the mat. You can keep your knees on the mat for now. And then as you inhale, releasing your thighs, releasing the hips, and then coming back to Sphinx, going back and forth. If you want to, as you move into your core engagement, you can push into the tops of your feet and lift the knees off the mat as well if you want to go a little bit further, or keep your knees down, depending on how you feel. The next time you find yourself in your Sphinx pose, let's pause here. Bringing the hands onto the mat as you push into the hands, lifting up. And coming to balance on your knees, shoulders, hips, and the knees stacking here. Toes are tucked under. And without tilting your pelvis back and forth, keeping your glutes active, keeping your midsection strong, start to lean back from here. You can let your hands rest on your chest as you lean back, lean back, lean back. And then when you feel like you're not able to go any further, push into your toe mounts and lift yourself back up to neutral. Again, going at your own pace here, leaning back as you breathe in, push into your toes, exhale as you lift back up. Again, be mindful of your pelvis, of your low back here. Noticing any changes to the alignment as you move. And if you start to feel like after a certain angle, your pelvis starts to shift, try to pull back just a little bit before that happens, so you keep yourself in that stable, neutral position. Coming back, pausing here, hands on your hips. Let's let the arms hang beside you. We're going to reach the fingers back, open up into your chest. This time I want you to retract your shoulder blades. You're squeezing them together. Again, keeping your low back neutral, moving back and forth by bending the knees and straightening them a little bit. Lean forward. Whoa. And if that happens, just come back. So you want to try and prevent that from happening. So you're only going forward maybe a couple of inches and really using your hamstrings and glutes to keep you from going too far forward. And then leaning back, leaning forward, and then leaning back or coming back neutral. Again, small movements here, but really looking to engage through that posterior chain, building stability and strength through the back part of your body. Couple more times. And coming back. From here, we take the right leg, switch it forward as you transition towards a deep lunge, as deep as you can make it. So you want that front knee over the ankle. You want your pelvis ideally below the front knee a little bit. If you still want some more space, you can take that back knee even further. For those of you who have more range of motion that's available into the knees and you feel comfortable, you can let your knees drive slightly further from the ankle. But to start off, you want to have your knee tracking above the ankle so you can get that stability through that front leg and really stretching out the back leg. That's the focus here. Keeping your pelvis level, so you're bringing a slight scissoring of the hips here, your right hip's pulling back, your left hip's pushing forward. Shoulders relaxed. From here, we're going to push into the front leg as you straighten into that front leg. We're going to pick up that back foot, pivoting on the knee, and then stepping the foot behind the knee, transitioning from here into a side lunge. So now I'm going to have my right forearm resting on that thigh. And as I drive my pelvis in this direction, feeling the stretch maybe into your right groin, maybe through the left inner thigh. Going again as deep into the stretch as feels comfortable. If you need to change up your alignment a little bit, go ahead and do that. Pressing into that foot as you climb back. We're gonna reach the left hand to the back of the mat now. So you're supporting yourself on the left hand and the left knee. Your left toes are still kicked under. As you pick up that left leg, I'm just gonna switch myself so I have more space on the mat. And you wanna have your shoulder over the wrist and picking up that right leg. Feel free to reach that right arm up as you flex the ankle and toes, lifting the leg from your glute medius muscles. Your glutes are active. As you lift that leg, really try to push out through the heel and flex the toes back. If you want a bit more of a hip flexor stretch, you can bend that knee, grab the top of the foot, and try to kick the foot away from the body and pull with the hand. Again, that push-pull to help intensify a stretch. Wherever you are, stay with your breath. And then releasing. From here, we're going to transition to Parigasanas. As you bring that right foot down, rise up into the torso. Bringing that right foot down, toes in line with the left knee. Feel free to have your toes turn out a little bit. You want the left shoulder, hip, and knee in a straight line. Right hand can go down the leg or come around the back. Inhale, left arm reaching up, draw the shoulders down the back. And as you exhale, looking up to the ceiling if that's comfortable, and reaching your top fingers to the side, keeping that grounding right leg strong, breathing into the side body. Inhale, come back. Picking up the right toes as you pivot on that heel, and then bending into the knee, back into that side hip stretch. From here, we bring both hands down on the inside of the foot, picking up the back foot, and then pivoting on the knee. From here, both hands are on the inside. Let's drive that pelvis forward a little bit more here. And then keeping that right arm, right leg connected to each other. We're gonna pick up the back knee. From here, ground the heel, turning your back toes to the side, maybe puffing up onto your right fingertips as you open your chest, reach up through your left hand, transition to your Parakonasana, your side angle pose, leaning back into the head and shoulders, rooting down through the back leg as you push through the outer edge of your back foot. Look to rotate your left hip to stack above the right. So finding that external rotation, both in your left arm and left hip. Finding strength through both of your legs. We're going to push down and rise up, transition to warrior two. Stacking shoulders over hips, extending through the arms, and find that external rotation through both hips at the same time here. So really trying to open up your chest and hips towards the side as you bend into that front leg, keeping your back leg strong. From here, we're going to push into that front leg, straightening out, and then tucking your right hip in, transition towards your Trikonasana, reaching your right arm forward, keeping the space in the sides of your torso as you exhale, reaching your right hand down, resting it lightly against the shin as your left arm reaches up. Stay strong through both legs, keeping your weight evenly balanced, finding your point of focus. From your Trikonasana, press into that back leg as you rise up. From here, we're going to bring the left hand forward, bringing both hands together as you pick up the back heel, transitioning into a lunge with your hips and chest facing forward this time. And then lean forward, really pulling in that low belly. bending into the front knee. We're going to start to walk that back foot closer. We're going to transition towards a warrior three. So picking up that back leg and finding a balancing pose, lifting your back leg to be parallel to the ground, keeping your pelvis level. So that right hip lifting higher, left hip turning down. Stay strong through the midsection, keeping those core muscles active throughout. Find that extension through the back leg and through the head. Long lines in the body, breathing here. 3, 2, and 1. Bend that back leg, step your foot forward, really nice. From here, we bring the big toes together, heels slightly apart, transition to Utkatasana, reaching the arms up overhead, breathing here. 3, sitting deep into that chair, squeeze the knees together. 2, looking forward or up, draw the shoulders down the back, and 1, push through the legs, standing up. Beautiful. Check it out. Step our feet to the back of the mat. From here, we're going to bring our knees down onto the mat. So feel free to make that transition however you want to. If you want to test your strength, challenging yourself a little bit more, you can lift up onto your toe mounts and maybe bring the hands onto your chest, and then slowly and with control, lowering your knees down onto the mat. Awesome. Again, feel free to make that transition however you want to. Anytime you're coming down onto your mat, make sure you are staying safe, especially when it's a no hands approach. You want to keep your knees happy. All right, from here, we're going to take that left leg and step that foot forward, coming into a lunge. Fingers come together, relaxing into the stretch, sinking low through the pelvis, relaxing into the shoulders. Really nice. We're gonna set up for the same sequence on this side. From here, we're gonna push into that front foot as you come back, taking the back foot onto the knee, and then stepping the foot behind. From here, driving into your front knee one more time, and pelvis moving along with that front knee. Breathing into the stretch. Again, depending on your body, you might feel this in different places. It might be on the inner groin on the right side. It might be a little bit on the left side. It might even be in the glute on the back leg. So there's no right or wrong here. As long as you're not feeling pain in any of the joints, you're feeling a stretch, maybe a slight discomfort, that's okay. But just watch out for pain. That's not what we want to kind of push ourselves to. Always keeping your breath as steady and neutral as you can. Let's push into that front leg as you ease yourself out of this pose. Again, taking up the space on your mat as needed. I'm going to take that right hand, take it towards the top of the mat, supporting yourself on that right hand, shoulder over wrist, right hip over knee, lifting up the left leg, flexing the ankle and toes, and reaching your left arm up. So here you want to keep your oblique muscles strong throughout. Your glute medius muscles are active as well. Push through that left heel, flex the toes back, balancing here. Maybe taking that hip flexor stretch option. Release the foot, straightening out the leg. And then with that leg being straight, bring your foot down, rising up, and transition to Parigasana. So your left toes can be pointing straight, maybe to the side, but make sure the bottom of the foot is planted down. Right arm reaches up, draw the shoulders down the back. Option for the back hand that feels best. Inhale, reach. Exhale, folding. Try to press through the pinky side of your left foot. Feel that space in the sides of your torso. Feel the space between shoulders and ears. Inhale, coming back. We're gonna pick up the front toes off the mat here, keeping that heel down, and then bending into that knee as you plant that foot down. Bring both hands down on the inside of your foot, pick up the back foot, and pivot on that knee, coming into your Gecko Lunge here. Look to drive your pelvis forward. And then with your back toes tucked under, picking up the knee and then grounding your heel to the side. Heel to heel alignment, puffing up onto the left fingertips if needed. Open the chest, right arm reaching up. Parakonasana, finding your drishti. Again, take a nice big stance so you can bend into that front knee, bring it as close to 90 as possible. Also helps to bring the ground a little closer if your feet are further apart. Finding strength through your midsection, through both legs as you push down, rise up, warrior two. Looking past the front hand, lunging a little deeper if that's available to you. Find the connection to the earth through both of your feet. Feel the strength and energy coursing through your body as it rises up through the legs, into the pelvis, up the spine, out into your shoulders, and all the way up to the head. Feel that strength in the body. Breathe into it. And the next breath in, straightening out that front leg, tucking that left hip in. Keep the space in your body as you reach your left hand forward. Lightly bring your hand down onto the shin as the right arm reaches up. And really focusing on rotating your hips and chest open to the side. Keeping the sides of your torso as long as you can. You're not compressing down onto the bottom side, but rather keeping that space and breathing into it. That's what really helps to bring that stretch into the left hamstrings as well. Pushing in through the both legs, rising up here. And then lunging into that front leg, right hand coming to the front to meet the left. Palms come together to chest center. Turning hips and chest to face forward, back heel lifts off. Beautiful. Finding your balance here as you move through the transitions. Tighten the core, low belly pulled in, tailbone reaching down, hands together, lean forward. And then start to walk that back foot closer as you lean forward, picking up the back leg. And transitioning to warrior three. So in warrior three, you really want to keep your chest and your hips facing down. So you're not letting the right hip open up here. Chin slightly tucked in, extending the head forward, extending the heel back. Finding strength in the grounding leg. Keep lifting that left hip, turning the right hip slightly down. Breathing, 3, 2, and 1. Step that foot forward, big toes together, heels apart. And then from here, knees are together, sitting into your Utkatasana. Low belly's pulled in, shoulders pulling down the back. Tailbone is neutral, we're not arching that low back. Nice and steady with your breath and gaze for 3, 2, and 1. Push up through your feet, come up standing. Shake it out. Really nice. Grabbing a sip of water here if needed. Shaking out the legs. From here, coming to stand with your heels shoulder width apart, toes turned out 45 degrees. We bend our knees and lower our way down into Malasana. Palms are together at chest center, driving your chest forward. As you sink down into the seat, lift the head up higher. Really nice work. We're going to start to bring the practice to a close here. Slowing down the breath as you ease your way into the stretch. From here, we start to take the hands behind the body as you lower the seat down, walking the feet mat width distance, windshield wiper. Come back to center, sliding your feet together, setting up into Parakonasana, grabbing hold of your feet, turning them up to face the sky, lifting into the chest. And feel free to close the eyes here as your knees sink down towards the mat, staying upright, maybe hinging from the hips and leaning forward. Releasing your feet, bringing the knees together one more time. From here, we're going to grab the back of the thighs, transition from here into Navasana. Now, paying attention again to your lower back here. You want to keep the chest lifted, keeping the core muscles active as you lean back and your foot lifts off the mat, point the toes, lifting your shins to parallel. Feel free to keep holding the back of your thighs for support. If you feel strong, you're welcome to extend the arms. When you make that transition, notice if you dip into the low back. If you feel like your lower back dips, then I recommend still holding on to your thighs so you can keep the chest lifted, keep your spine neutral. But if you extend the arms forward and nothing changes in the spine, then feel free to go with that transition. If you want to challenge yourself further, you can work on straightening the legs. The other thing to be mindful of is how far you're leaning back. Lots of times we really just rest on our sit bones. You want to try and have your weight slightly shifted forward onto your sit bones. So not on the tailbone, but rather on your sit bones a little bit more. Breathing 3, 2, and 1. Bringing the feet onto the mat. Feet are hip width distance. Let's take the hands behind the body, fingers face forward. Transition towards reverse tabletop. Push into the hands and the feet, lifting your seat up. Open the chest. You can look up to the sky. Maybe the head drops back here for 3, 2, and 1. Bringing the seat down. Let's extend the legs forward. Going to come into a seated forward fold from here. Flex the ankle and toes back. Feel free to start off with a bend into your knees. And I'd really like you to focus on hinging from the hip forward as opposed to doing this with your spine. Think about keeping your spine straight and then hinging from the hip forward as much as you can. So you're not losing that alignment in your spine. So that's why I recommend starting with your knees slightly bent if needed. Inhale to reach your fingertips up to the sky. Draw the shoulders down the back. Take an inhale, reach even further. And then exhale, hinge from the hips. Feel your torso lifting out of the hips as you reach your hands forward. Wherever they land, you can grab hold of your toes, your feet, your ankles, calves, whatever, and then start to pull with your hands, driving with your chest and your chin forward. If your knees are slightly bent, think about pushing the heels away and pulling your toes back. And again, try not to have this happen into your spine. Try to look to keep your spine straight and hinge from the hips. If your knees are bent, again, you can think about pulling your sit bones away from the heels as well. And then easing your way out of pose as you walk the hands back. We're going to transition to reverse plank, Purvottanasana, pointing your toes, feet are together, hands behind you, fingers face forward. Push into the hands, push into the heels, lift up the chest and hips. And the head can drop back here if you're comfortable. Like to extend your tailbone forward. Breathing here. And then bringing the seat back down. I'm going to drive your seat forward a little bit, setting up for transitioning onto your back. Feel free to grab your thighs if you want to. If you want to add a bit more strength, you can bring your hands down, straighten the legs. Balancing on the low back. If you want to add even more strength, you can bring the hands behind you for hollow body hold, whatever feels best. Just make sure you're maintaining control over your body as you come down and rest your spine, shoulders, and head. Once you're there, lift the feet, bring the knees into the chest. We're going to open the arms into a wide T. And on the exhale, lower the knees down to the right side. This time, option to extend your top leg or both legs if you want. Going a little bit deeper than the first time we came into this pose. Feel free to grab your left big toes with your right peace fingers and using that connection to help you intensify the stretch a little bit. Still keeping the shoulders relaxed and rooted down to the mat. Breathing into the stretch. And let's release that foot or release that leg on an inhale, come back to center. And exhale, lower the legs down to the other side. Again, you don't have to straighten one or both legs. That's just an option if you want to go a little deeper. If you want to come into the same variation that we did last time, it's perfectly fine to do that. Just different ways to challenge your body for when you feel like it. And sometimes it's a nice way to kind of gauge the effect that your practice has had on the body, as it sometimes can be that immediate, that from the beginning of the class to the end, you might feel more open, feeling yourself going deeper into certain poses, and sometimes not, and that's okay as well. And here we let go of the leg, inhale to bring your legs back to center. We're going to transition to a happy baby from here. So taking your knees wide as it will go, while still keeping your lower back on the mat. Arms on the inside of your legs, reaching to grab your toes, ankles, feet, whatever you can hold on to. Soles of the feet face up. Roll your tailbone down actively so it stays supported onto the mat as you roll side to side. Keeping a little bit of pressure between the arms and your inner thighs. Using the hands to pull the knees down, so the back of the shoulders and head stay supported as well. From here, you're welcome to add in any other finishing pose if you feel like it. If you're ready for Shavasana, from here, we're going to bring our feet together, taking the arms out from underneath. And tuck into a tight ball, getting as tight in the body as you can here, really squeezing the arms, the legs, those muscles in your face, get scrunched up, get as tight as you can, holding that tension for 3, 2, and 1. Then with an exhale, release that tension, uncoil your body as you straighten the arms, the legs, taking up space on your mat. Feel free to modify your Shavasana in any way that you want to or need to. So you find that position that feels relaxing. You feel ready, close the eyes. Feeling your breath and heartbeat start to slow down. Feeling the eyes and tongue dropping back in the sockets. Relaxing your jaw. Softening your cheeks and throat. Feeling your shoulders and lower back. Resting on the mat. Releasing hips. Soften the back of the knees. And relax the ankles and toes. And start to come back. Bringing awareness back to your breath. Feeling the sensations in your body. Waking up the fingers, the toes. Moving the ankles and wrists. Let that movement travel into the arms and legs, turning your head side to side. Slide the feet together, bring your head to neutral as you reach the arms overhead. Breathe in to stretch and lengthen. Breathe out to relax. We'll bring the left hand onto the belly button, bending your knees and turning over onto your side. Staying relaxed in your movements, keeping awareness inside your body as you start to transition towards a comfortable seat with the eyes closed and the palms together at chest center. Take a moment here, just check in with your breath, checking in with how it feels to be inside your body. Thank you so much for being here, for sharing your time, sharing your practice, and for inviting me into your space. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you for the class. That was amazing.